Howdy, howdy, howdy. My name is Anashi Sasuke, and welcome to, I guess I should call it, Let's Read SCP Foundation. So the reason, well, I don't know if I want to call it Let's Read SCP Foundation, because the reason I'm doing this is, I was watching Markiplier play it in his live stream the other day, and I was wondering, gee, this sure is interesting watching him be afraid, but I really don't know what the hell he's talking about. So I decided to Google SCP Foundation to see, well, just SCP, to see if I could learn anything, and I found a website that talks about what they all are. And I figured what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through a lot of them and just read what they are, and when it hits Halloween, I'm going to play the game. So I'm going to be doing maybe every other day an episode where I read maybe like 10 of them, maybe that's about a good number, and I'm just going to do that until Halloween. And when Halloween rolls around, I'm going to try the game for real. Because I figure if I know what the things are, then I maybe won't shit myself. So, let's start with SCP number 1, which is blocked completely. General Notice 001 Alpha. In order to prevent knowledge of SCP-1 from being leaked, several /no false SCP-001 files have been created alongside the true files. All files concerning the nature of SCP-1, including the decoys, are protected by a memetic kill agent designed to immediately cause cardiac arrest in any non-authorized personnel attempting to access the file. Revealing the true nature/natures of SCP-1 to the general public is cause for execution, except as required under... Okay. Warning! Any non-authorized personnel accessing this file will be immediately terminated through Berryman-Langford memetic kill agent. Scrolling down without proper memetic inoculation will result in immediate cardiac arrest followed by death. You have been warned. Now, I was looking at this on my phone at like 3 o'clock in the morning and was like, man, I don't want to have a heart attack because of this. But if you'll notice, the URL says Wiki in it. So we're going to scroll down. Kind of expecting it to jump scare my face. And there's not even anything there. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, okay. Apparently that just means that I'm authorized personnel. Is that supposed to be the kill agent, or is that supposed to be the... Alright, whatever. It looks really psychedelic, though, and if anybody dies from the kill agent, I apologize, but again, it says Wiki, so I think we're fine. Please select your desired file. Okay, let's check Jonathan Ball. Whoever the fuck that is. Object class Keter. I don't know what that means. There's probably somewhere on the website that says what that means. I don't know where to look though. Description. I should probably read all of this. Special containment procedures. To date, no adequate containment procedure has been developed to deal with the possible threat posed by SCP-1. This is due in part to the controversial nature of the item and debates concerning the necessity of its containment. This controversy is reflected in the item's changing object class and the procedures utilized in its containment. The current administration, despite being created and applied uniquely to this item, considering it to be the most dangerous of all known or possible items. I feel like I missed a line there. Yeah, the current administration, despite charges of paranoia, has classed the object Keter, while requesting permission for a higher object class to be created and applied uniquely to this item, considering it to be the most dangerous of all known possible items. The reason for this classification and changing attitudes towards SCP-1 are dealt with in the description and notes. At present, SCP-1 is, I'm going to just call it from now on, is located in a code-locked briefcase made of high-tensile reinforced polymer. The room and briefcase are monitored at all times by security cameras. The briefcase cannot be opened without unanimous special clearance from all current O5 officers. The briefcase itself is stored in a small, fully lit single-room off-site building erected in Mleh. Class D personnel are posted to guard the building, but may not enter without the aforementioned agreement from the O5 officers, under threat of immediate termination, probably by death. This off-site building exists for the sole purpose of housing it, and is wired for detonation in an emergency situation. It is the opinion of the current administration that SCP-01 represents the greatest threat to national and global security known to exist. Nevertheless, due to special circumstances regarding its mode of function, further research on the item is disallowed, despite its promotion in the past, when SCP-01, oh, I didn't call it 8, oh no, was contained in minimum security conditions. Description. SCP-01 is a simple sheaf of papers, stapled together in the top left corner. The top sheet is a covering sheet reading simply, confidential report on special items, classified. The number of subsequent papers stapled to this covering sheet is indeterminate and have ranged from 3 to 30. If it was 3:30 in the morning, I'd be unnerved right now, but it is midnight 02. So, the report is unsigned and its origin is unknown. The first appearance of the report was on blank, 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 when it appeared on the desk of blank, blank, who was now dead. The report at the time described the living room, SCP-02. Shortly after reading the report with incredulity, blah blah, was contacted by phone regarding said item. The next time, blah blah, perused SCP-01, it described not the living room, but biological motherboard, SCP-03. Blah blah immediately closed it, thinking it was a different report, and searched for the original report on SCP-02. Not finding it, he opened SCP-01 again. This time it was talking about the 12 rusty keys and the door, which is number 4. Blah blah closed the report once more and opened it immediately to read of the skeleton key, SCP-05. It is not known what the next actions of blah blah might have been. At varying times following this incident, the aforementioned items were discovered. Insufficient research exists concerning the correlation between SCP-01 and all other known items. However, it has been established that every event regarding the discovery of a new SCP item has followed a report on the same item appearing beneath the cover sheet of SCP-01. The current administration regards this coincidence as proof of causal connection. Additional notes. Whether SCP-01 is to be regarded as an advanced warning system or whether it is itself to be regarded as the creator of the items requiring special containment remains to be seen. However, the distinction is unimportant in the eyes of the current administration. The fact remains, no new SCP items appear unless SCP-01 is opened and read. It is for this reason that the current administration refuses to repeat the mistakes of the past, mistakes that have resulted in over 1,000 SCPs coming to the knowledge of this SCP unit. Argument concerning the non-lethality of SCP-01 itself, its theoretically beneficial use as an SCP warning system, or its use as a progenitor of advanced biological and non-biological weapons have not swayed the current administration. Nor have arguments criticizing the extreme containment procedures employed in respect to an item that displays no nefarious qualities and is not animate as such. Critics are reminded that these procedures are intended not to contain the item itself, but to isolate it from human interaction, which is regarded as the true threat. Although the current administration refuses to remove the object from isolation barring special authorization as noted above, past administrators have counseled daily with the item, and future administrations will no doubt counsel similar behavior. Nevertheless, it is the opinion of the current administration that, barring the destruction of SCP-01, it is to be contained until such a time when responsibility for its containment falls upon future administrations. Okay, so, by Jonathan Ball, it is a sheet of papers that predicts the existence of other SCPs, which then come into existence. Let's see what Dr. Gears thinks, as fun as that name is. Okay. Item displays aggressive and dangerous behavior. 6'5", 97 pounds, average varies by 5 to 10 pounds, higher or lower, unknown age, gray-brown skin, maybe bruising. Eye, color milky blue, no hair, emaciated appearance, bone and muscle structure unlike any recorded species. Legs are long and thin, ending in sharp black points. 3 fingers on each hand, also ending in black points. Ew. Legs and arms are twice as long as torso, no reproductive organs, anal orifice, no ears, nose, or pores anywhere on the body. Head is spherical, very large in proportion to body. Neck appears too thin to support head. Sounds like a Kingdom Hearts character. Mouth extends halfway around head, no lips. Is it Jack Skellington? 21 teeth, spaced randomly around mouth, may appear broken, rotted, or chipped. Ew, rotten teeth, I don't even know. Eye is a large ball-shaped milky blue sphere, presumably kept in the head or throat. Appears to roll in the mouth when mouth is open. Has no pupil or iris. Detail of current containment. Room is lead-lined and kept lit with floodlights. Temperature is kept at 98 degrees with 100% humidity. That sounds so uncomfortable. Room is sealed with a reinforced steel blast door. Outer area patrolled by guards with high-powered strobes. Aren't strobes just lights, though? Anybody entering the containment room should carry a strobe and wear welding goggles. Any person attempting to remove the item or enter without authorization is to be shot on sight. Report. Recovered in Guatemala early this week, first reported as a demon seen by several boys on a rural road. Appeared to be sick or injured. Boys reported seeing the creature panting and jerking its legs. Creature then raised its head and exposed its eye. Boys ran home reporting to local law enforcement. Several reports of horrible roaring or shrieks from locals over several days. 12 people admitted to local hospital with severe radiation poisoning, and 7 reported missing. Recovery team assembled, headed by General McCoy, and dispatched from base Ardrix 19. Adrix? Yeah, Adrix. Let's go with that, Adrix. Reports to overseers from recovery team after standard containment failure led to additional containment protocols developed by Dr. Herman Keeter. Wow! And then he was killed in initial testing, after which the creature was moved to Adrix 19. So I guess the reason that really dangerous things are named after Dr. Keeter is because he got killed by a really dangerous thing. Creature appears to be able to create micro-singularities, using them both as a form of teleportation and defense. These singularities disappear several seconds after creation, but emit massive amounts of radiation and cause severe damage to the surrounding area. The eye appears to control these manifestations, as it has always had the eye exposed when creating a singularity. Omnivorous, it views humans as a food supply. Creatures show signs of extreme fear and sickness in the presence of high heat, humidity, and bright flashing light. Okay, so that's why they need strobes. Creature appears unable to teleport through lead and cannot form singularities when in its sick state. When well, it is an extremely fast and cunning being and has killed several recovery agents with both its singularities and claws. Amidst occasional shrieking sounds, all attempts to communicate have failed. Additional objects reported. Overseers considering conversion of Adrix 19 to a dedicated recovery and containment facility. Reports may need censorship for reasons of security. Okay, so far, number 1 has been a sheaf of papers and also whatever the fuck that thing was. It's looking like this whole episode is just going to be reading about number 1, to be honest. What the fuck? Okay. Special containment procedures. Because of the nature of SCP-01, no containment procedures are necessary. 24/7 monitoring of it is to take place from a safe 10 kilometers distance from a predetermined location, Site 0. The location of Site 0 is known only to the current SCP administrator and the single overseer level agent of Abrahamic Faith, 0514, assigned to monitor it from Site 0. Said agent is authorized to take any action necessary should it become active, and is required to immediately alert the administrator and all other overseer-level agents should it show any change in behavior, as this may constitute the beginning of Patmos XK class end-of-the-world scenario. Is this an angel from Evangelion? Kinda looks like an angel from Evangelion. Should it become active in any way, personnel are required to immediately consult the Patmos series of emergency orders. Decoding algorithms for emergency order Patmos are to be maintained on-site at Site 0 in the possession of the designated observer, and are to be transmitted to SCP Foundation offices only in the event of SCP-1 becoming active. I might add background music to this so it's not just me talking for like half an hour, because at least when I read Homestuck for half an hour, sometimes it does things. But this doesn't seem to do things, and considering what the website is, I don't think I want it to do things. Anyway. Foundation personnel with vital roles in one or more variants of emergency procedure Patmos are to be advised to take the following precautions. To maintain good relations with one or more organized Abrahamic faiths. To maintain, on hand, a supply of the following: holy water, a rosary, crucifix, cross, prayer rug, or other symbol blessed by an Abrahamic cleric of bishop or equivalent higher rank, a copy of Abrahamic scriptures, Torah, Bible, Quran, and standard emergency supplies in mobile form. Bug out bag. What's a bug out bag? Did my phone just move? It did just move. In case of a premillennial rapture scenario, all vital personnel are to designate a secondary operative of non-Abrahamic faith. Said secondary operative is to be informed of the location of the primary designates copy of emergency procedure Patmos and mimetic kill agent inoculant, and is to be kept on ready status to take over the primary's duties as necessary. I guess that means if the person gets raptured away, they need people who are not religious. To maintain familiarity with all other SCPs involved in possible Patmos XK end of the world scenarios. Sorry for the stuttering. Is this a deviant art? Why does Okay. SCP-01 is a humanoid entity, approximately 700 cubits in height, located in an undisclosed location near the intersection of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The following features are known about the entity: a number of luminous wing-like appendages emerging from the shoulders, back, temples, ankles, and wrists of the entity. Although an accurate count has never been established, most observers place the number of wings anywhere from 2 through 108, with the mean number being 4. A weapon, possibly a sword or knife, SCP-001-2. The weapon appears to emit flames at a temperature rivaling that of the sun, based on spectrographic analysis, although there appears to be no destructive effects from the intense heat on the surrounding area. Any entity that approaches within 1 kilometer of SCP-01 is immediately struck by the weapon and obliterated from existence. Any and all hostile actions taken towards SCP-01 have resulted in the annihilation of the attacker, regardless of range. See incident reports regarding Indian Ocean Submarine Missile Experiment, December 26, 2004. SCP-01 appears to be standing with its head bowed at a gesture of supplication, with SCP-01-2 held in both hands point down in front of it. Since originally recorded by the founder over data redacted years ago, SCP-01 has not deviated from this stance. Human beings exposed to it report hearing a voice in their heads giving them a directive which the subject reports cannot be disobeyed. The most common directive is forget, which results in the subject walking away from it with no memory of having encountered it. On rare occasions, however, other directives have been given. The most famous of these is the one given to the founder, prepare, which he has claimed formed the impetus for founding Data Redacted, to catalog and contain any and all supernatural and or paranormal artifacts that represent a serious threat to the current existence of humanity. This is the organization now known as the SCP Foundation. Observers have long reported that it appears to be standing in front of a gate of immense proportions. Long-range photographs have occasionally detected what appears to be a pastoral grove within, containing numerous other entities of the same composition of it, as well as several fruit trees of unknown composition. Of particular note are 2 fruit trees of immense proportion near what appears to be the center of the grove. One, it is noted, appears to be an ordinary apple tree, although the other bears fruit unknown on Earth, as described as data expunged. It is the avowed belief of the founder that the gate which SCP-01 guards may be the gate to expunge, based on correlations with ancient Babylonian text and the Dead Sea Scrolls, in which case one can deduce that the entity known as SCP-01 may be blank. Okay, so basically what's happening here, it sounds like to me, is they found the Garden of Eden and the angel who's guarding it, and it's like, hey, go away, and then they forget that they ever saw him, or they die. And here's an addendum about its kill range, which has already been stated. Also, apparently they brought other SCPs to it. Experiment F. SCP-76 and Task Force Omega-7 instructed to approach SCP-01 on foot. Result: SCP-076 refuses to carry out mission, despite not being informed of the mission's nature. Upon being asked why, SCP-076 just replies no. Just no. Okay. Okay, so it sounds like they tried to bring Cain and Abel to the gate. Cause I read a couple. Let me see if I'm right. Let's see. Yeah. So Cain said no, and okay, so 073 is Cain. Then who's 076? Description. Yeah, okay, yeah. They tried to bring Cain and Abel to the Garden of Eden and they both freaked out. Got it. Okay, so I guess these are all things that people think should count as SCP-01. Because this one would be 01 because it predicts all the rest of them. This one would be 01 because craziness. This one could be 01 because it's guarding the Quantum of Eden. Let's see. Next up is the lock. Okay, it's safe. It is to be kept locked along with all data pertaining to it inside the primary archival vault on sub-level 1 of Site 10. The vault is a custom manufactured reinforced concrete and steel vertical octagonal prism with a 2,000 kilograms 0.9 meter thick time-locked access portal in the ceiling. The time-locking schedule should be classified and available only to Dr. Y. Mirsky. Access is conditional on 3-factor authorization, e.g. key card, fingerprint, passphrase. SCP-001 is among the safest artifacts in the Foundation's possession, and these measures are primarily intended to prevent theft. Time locking. Time-locked access portal. Okay, maybe I'm reading into that too far. I was thinking like a portal, not just like a door. The door! Okay. SCP-001 is a smooth, black, perfectly ellipsed... Okay, I need to know what that word is. It's a three-dimensional geometric figure resembling a flattened sphere. Any cross-section of an ellipsoid is an ellipse or a circle. An ellipsoid is generated by rotating an ellipse around one of its axes. Okay. Okay, so it's shaped like that. Onyx Gemstone with a mottled white pattern. Wrapped around its exterior, encompassing its equator and both poles, is a complex and layered fractal filigree of gold metal. The gold is sculpted into broad strokes what is now usually agreed to be the lower or south pole of the object, but with increasing latitude, the pattern becomes progressively more intricate. Near the north pole, also called the lock or singularity, the pattern complexity progresses beyond the capability of optical or electron beam microscopes to resolve. Further investigation is pending advances in microscopy technology. The gemstone continuously emits a small quantity of thermal radiation in the microwave range. As a result, the gold filigree is warm to the touch. The white model areas emit fractionally more radiation than the black onyx areas. Other than this, it's totally inert. It is opaque to all forms of electromagnetic and hard radiation, and so far indestructible. Its onyx/gold composition is guessed from visual inspection, since the taking of samples for chemical analysis has proven impossible. Let's see, Project Pluto Master Log. The following experiments have failed to open it. Conventional lockpicking, brute force assault with hammer, chisel, sledgehammer, bolt cutters, welding torch, bandsaw, etc. Sustained heating to 5,000 degrees centigrade in an industrial furnace. Artifact reflected all thermal energy did not increase in temperature. Direct application of industrial cutting laser. Artifact reflected all of it. Compression in a vice, car crusher, hydraulic diamond face press, all destroyed. Application of corrosive acids and other highly oxidizing compounds, no reaction. Detonation of plastic and solid explosives up to 0.5 kilotons of TNT equivalent at point blank range, no effect. Detonation of 15 kilotons of TNT equivalent atomic warhead at point blank range. Authorization granted retroactively by Dr. Mirsky, no effect. Okay. Acquisition report. The earliest record of it is in the handwritten journal of the minor Scottish aristocrat Sir Edwin Young, 3rd Baronet, 1611 to 1677. He was 66 years old. Is that how that works? Yeah, 66 years old. As was customary at the time, Young kept a cabinet of curiosities. A small room of artifacts with undetermined provenance, such as sculptures, preserved creatures, and trinkets. Young's journal includes references to his acquisition in 1654 of bound jewel of onyx and filigree gold. I don't know how to do a Scottish accent, and I don't want to offend anyone, but I'm still doing it. Let me stop. So, of Fenel's beyond rational fitatement? The fuck is that? While traveling across the Mesopotamian desert. Okay, so this is probably the Ark of the Covenant. The journal indicates that SCP-001 was found buried in the ruin of a bitter blade. What the fuck is that letter? Is that supposed to be an S? Older than days, or what Young took to be a temple of a fearsome death god. Yeah, this is probably the Ark of the Covenant. Selections of... Yeah, and that's probably also supposed to be a weird S. Okay. Semi-permanent display, 1949. In one of the sketches, a small ornate object resembling a key is shown fitted into the North Pole. The key has not been recovered. So that definitely sounds like it's probably the Ark of the Covenant. Now, the factory. What makes them think that the factory is number 1? 01 is a 05's tale. Oh, so I guess this one's just a story. Okay. Good evening, Doctor. No, don't stand up. And yes, I am who you think I am. Let's not make any more of this than it is. You know my number, and I know enough about you to make a duplicate that even your mother wouldn't be able to tell apart from the real you. No, that's not a threat, just a fact. Now, as to my business here, it seems you have stumbled upon something above your clearance. Well, no, stumbled is not the right word. Dug up? Perhaps. And you are getting to the point where further digging would end in some fairly lethal gunshot wounds. This will be a sad state of affairs, as you were otherwise quite a good researcher. Therefore, you're getting something very few people in the Foundation ever get, an explanation. Yes, we were alerted when you first started digging into SCP-01. Every researcher who's been around for a while looks into it. Most are satisfied when they uncover the angel with the flaming sword. It's been buried under enough levels. But then you started looking into the factory, and that is when I knew you wouldn't stop. So, here it is, plain and simple. The factory is SCP-01, but it'll never be written up. It was a choice I made early on in the creation of the Foundation, and a choice I will stand by. You researchers are far too curious. I'm not sure which scares me worse, that we will never understand the factory, or that one day we one day will. Well, I'm sure you're eager to learn more. The factory was built in 1835. Back then it was known as the Anderson Factory, named after James Anderson, a rather well-to-do industrialist. It was built in, well, we'll just say America, and was the largest factory yet designed, a good mile across at its widest, 3 stories tall throughout, with a special 7-story tower by the front gate that Anderson lived in. It was designed to be the ultimate factory, capable of taking care of everything, including the housing of workers. People could be born, work, live, and die without ever leaving the confines of the factory, and work they did on everything from cattle raising and slaughtering, the textiles, to everything else under the sun. Now, no one knows whether James Anderson was actually a Satan worshipper. It's just as likely that he followed some kind of pagan gods. What is known is that he was very exact in the building of this factory, and in the placement of his machinery within it. Survivors claim the floor was engraved with arcane symbols that were only visible when blood flowed across them. But then the survivors claimed a lot of things. What is known is that Anderson made his money on the blood and sweat and sometimes body parts of the lower class. His journals indicate he thought of them as less than human, being put on this earth only to serve his will. Of course, at the time, no one knew about his predilections, and so people flocked to the factory, a place to both work and live at the same time. Well, of course people wanted in, never mind the harsh hours, working conditions, sadistic security force, and all the rest. Factory workers were forced to work 16 hours a day, work only shutting down on Sundays between sunrise and sunset. Workers were not given individual rooms, instead sharing rooms with 8 other people, sleeping in shifts of 3. Medical attention was unheard of. If you were injured in the course of your duties, which most people were, you were expected to just keep working. Anyone too injured to work was dragged off by the security, never to be heard from again. For 40 years, the Anderson factory cranked out all sorts of things for people. Meat, clothes, weapons. Never mind that the beef might be mixed with human. Don't care that the weapons were forged in blood. No attention needs to be paid that the clothes were dyed with, well, you get the idea. Rumors leaked out, but the products were so good, why bother? Until someone got out. I never met the brave soul who managed to escape, but she managed to meet with President Grant, and in 1875 he enlisted my aid. At the time I was... well, it doesn't matter. We'll say I was military, kind of, and that my people were the same. 150 good men and a few women, who were often given jobs that weren't supposed to be common knowledge. We'd be cleaning out some Confederate holdouts, and some of the worst things we found down south. So we did some research, didn't like what we saw, and went in loaded for bear. I don't actually remember much about the night it all went down. Most of it blends together in my head. I get flashes sometimes of the people chained to the line, living next to dead, and damned hard to tell which was which. Children working underneath machines, the majority of the flesh scoured from their bones by the great wheels and cogs. And the other things. No, I'm alright. I haven't thought about that night for a very long time. The security force wasn't much of a problem, but then Anderson's creations showed up. He'd been taking the injured workers and, well, experimenting on them. Men, if you could call them men, with multiple arms, sewn together, some of them combined with animals. Horrible monstrosities out of mankind's worst nightmares. They kept coming, wave after wave of not quite living creatures. I lost a lot of good people that night. And then we found Anderson's breeding pits. Girls as young as 8, chained to walls, forced to be nothing more than... I'm sorry. Even today, more than a century later, the memory makes me see red. When we finally found Anderson cowering in his office, we hung him from his tower window with his own entrails. As he died, he laughed, saying it didn't matter, we could kill him, but his factory, the factory, would go on. He was still laughing 24 hours later when we finally cut him down, had him drawn and quartered, and then burnt the remains. Entire time he uttered blasphemies that I don't like to think about. We spent a week cleaning that place out, freeing the workers, putting down the things we found in the basements and many lightless rooms. We pulled out things that were useful, stocked them in a house near the gate, tried to make sense of everything. 150 of us went into that hell pit that night and only 93 came out. By the end of the week we were down to 71. But the things we found in there, my god. Well, you've been with the Foundation a while, they wouldn't seem as amazing to you, but we found toy guns that shot real bullets, a yo-yo that would flay the skin from anyone it touched, hammers that only worked on human flesh, a breed of skeletal horse that ran faster than anything we'd ever seen, cloaks that seemed woven from the night itself and let men access a shadowy dimension that... I get away from myself. We found tools, both wondrous and horrible, and we were faced with a choice. I gathered my high-ranking, well, we'll call them officers, to me, and we tried to figure out what we would do. They all had opinions. The Champlain, he'd gone a little crazed, thought all these objects must be miracles sent from God, holy relics to be worshipped. Marshall and his little toady Dawkins thought there was a fortune to be made here, making and selling these things to the highest bidder. The engine we all called Base, due to his deep speaking voice, he called these things an abomination and declared we should hunt down and destroy everything we could find. And Smith thought we should take this stuff back to the president. The only one without an opinion was the old man, but he never said much of anything anyways. We argued for hours, days, trying to work it out. Me, I thought we were sitting on a gold mine, alright, but that we could use these things, these objects, to hunt down some of the scary things we run into down south, the other monsters this world had to offer, and use this factory for good, as a place to contain these things. A place to find a way to make them work for our fellow men, or at least protect our fellow men from having to deal with them. I'm sure you can figure out what happened. The Champagne snuck away in the night with his devotees, taking a couple small items with him. Marshall we kicked out when we found him abusing his authority. He promised he'd get revenge, and that little Dawkins shit led the rest of the group off with some of the juicier items. Base and his people tried to light the whole damn thing on fire, then just left when it didn't work. And Smith left to report back to the president. I did manage to get him to promise me he'd tell Grant the factory had been destroyed. I had big plans for that place. Of course, it was kind of hard to follow through on big plans when you only have 12 other people to work with, but it was a start. And it worked, for a while. We had these amazing toys, and finding people to work with us was easy. Back then, going off the grid was as simple as leaving town. We knew what we wanted, we knew what we could be. Leventhal set out getting us backing. A simple invention here, some well-invested money there. It all worked out. White and Jones set out getting us other backing. In our previous work, we found out some interesting things about people. Some secrets that powerful men didn't want getting out, and with our new position helping keep secrets, we got more people asking us to deal with their secrets. Blackmail is a dirty word, but it works. Bright, Argent, and Lumineux got to work cataloging the items. Light and Bright's wife, the nurse, they made sure we kept ourselves healthy. No, it's just remembering Light. She had such unusual ideas about hygiene for the time. Brilliant woman. I don't know if that's Shav. Shav, Fleischer, and Karnoff dealt with training the troops. Tesla and Tamlin were in charge of figuring out how to take advantage of the items without making it obvious. We were amazing. The city we built around the factory, which we took to calling Site Alpha, was self-supporting. Agents, researchers, operatives of all sorts, not by those names of course, but those positions. We expanded. I'm sorry, I'm an old man. I know I don't look like it, but the body lies. The mind doesn't always remember right. And sometimes I get lost in my memories. Things get confused. But the long and simple of it is this. We use the factory. It always seemed to have more empty rooms to store things in. Back then, that was the word for them. Things. No skips then, no. We thought we had the factory tamed. That's one of the reasons I refused to quit this job. If there's anything I can do here, it's remind people that we will never tame these things. Contain them, yes, but as we saw with Abel, Tame them? Never. After a decade or so, we were pretty organized. The 13 original of us were being called by numbers, not names. We knew how to make things work. And if a thing or two vanished inside of the factory, still? And the occasional D-class? What? Yes, so we had D-class back then. Disposables. That's where the D comes from. We had to have someone to test things on. Tesla and Tamlin were both very firm about that. But, yes, sometimes we lost people who didn't matter. Dr. Bright was fond of saying it was the factory taking its toll. You can't get something for nothing. 1911 was when it went all wrong. Things, we call them fairies, an entire race of things living beside us. They could look the same as you or I. The only obvious difference was an allergy to iron. Yes, that's why we call them fairies. No, you haven't heard of them. Why? Because it's the one time the Foundation wiped out an entire race of things. Root and branch. And I'm the one who did it. We'd been hunting them for some time. We'd run into them a time or two before, come out on top. So when a certain royal asked us for help, of course we were eager to get them in our debt. We've always loved having people in our debt. We sent a team to help out, take care of what we thought was a hunting party. The next time we saw them, their heads were on poles attached to the saddles of the creatures the fairies rode when they attacked the factory. It was horrible. 3 words, but they convey so much. I'm sorry. Please give me a moment. I've never told this part to anyone. You should consider yourself lucky. And if you ever tell anyone any of what I'm about to impart to you, I will not just kill you, but everyone who shares your DNA in the worst ways possible. You'll think Procedure 110 Montauk is a walk in the park compared to what I do to you. We lost. The things came and they destroyed us, rolled over our emplacements, slaughtered our people, shrugged off our weapons like they were nothing. I watched my 13 go down left and right, just trying to hold the factory. And their leader, their friend, their father figure, godfather to the Bright's 4 young children, confidant, sometimes lover, always the confessor, I ran. I ran like a scared little schoolboy deep into the dark guts of the factory. I was chased by the things, always just one step ahead. I could hear them behind me, feel their breath upon my neck, and I came to a door I'd never seen before. A bronze door covered in Arabic script of some sort. I've never been one for languages, especially not the curvy bullshit the Musclemen use. But I didn't care. They were coming for me, and I threw the door open and I dived through it. Everything inside was different. There was a feeling of peace that nothing could hurt me here. The light was this dark red, but it still felt right. My ears were filled with the steady thrumming of a gigantic heartbeat, and in front of me were the remains of Anderson. It spoke to me then, but I'll be damned if I could tell you exactly what it said. What it told me was more meaning than exact. It offered me hope. It told me that each of the things we used from the factory, no matter what we did with them, fed it, helped it grow. But if the fairies took the factory, they would destroy it, and we couldn't have that. It offered me a deal. It could remove this event, make it have never happened. All I needed to give it was us. I didn't want to. I knew it was a bad idea. But then I saw them again, my family, my friends, dead. Dead by the hands of those bastards. I agreed. It smiled, and I found myself once more upon the ramparts, watching the hordes of fairies crest the hill. My Foundation alive once more, in my hands was a weapon. I won't bore you with the details, but we slaughtered them. And with these new weapons, continued to slaughter them everywhere they lived, everywhere they bred. My fellow O5s questioned my decision, thinking we should save some in case we might ever need them. I overruled them. We moved away from the factory, shut it down, moved our things out of there. We changed the name from things to special containment protocols, focused on containing them, not anything else. The others were furious, but I understood I had my reasons. I boarded up the factory, locked it down, buried it under a ton of rubble, saying it was too dangerous. I thought I'd gotten away with it, until I found a thing on my desk, one of the old toy guns that shot real bullets, and it had the factory label on it. I've sent people in from time to time to see what it might be doing. Last time I sent people in to look, there was nothing there. We keep finding factory items out there. I can't help but think of how many more we don't find. The people who used them and kept them hidden. I think back to the body telling me how each item used gave energy to the factory. I never asked it energy for what. I don't think I want to know. What do we give it? D-class, mostly. Where did you think all those bodies went? There's a place. Bodies are left and they vanish. Everyone thinks I'm a genius for figuring it out. Sometimes I just have to feed it other things. Researchers, agents, they never know what's coming. It just reaches out and takes them. But in the end, we're doing more good by being here. Whatever the factory wants, whatever it is, we're doing good here. I have to believe that. And now you know. Are you happy? I didn't think so. Why tell you? I'm getting old, Everett. Should I die, someone will have to keep feeding it. Maybe you'll be different. Maybe you'll figure out how to stand up to it. But I doubt it. Okay, so that was the factory. The other things, there's the spiral path, the legacy, the database, the foundation, 36, Keter duty, children record. Okay, so it sounds like some of these are probably more stories, but I've been recording for 41 minutes, so I'm... Oh, right, I forgot there's nothing up there. So I'm probably going to just end this here, and in the next episode, continue reading more of the things about SCP-1, and then we'll move on to the next one. So, this has been Anashi Sasuke. This was Let's Read SCP Foundation Wiki, or whatever the hell I'm going to call this, and I will see y'all next time. Later.